YouTube family, how are you doing today? Welcome back to another YouTube only cast from myself, Wardy, here on the WardiTV YouTube, your favorite place to hit that subscribe button. More about that in a moment. First of all, let me tell you who's playing today. A best of 9 series between this red Protoss player in the bottom left hand side, Trap, and this blue Terran in the top right, InNoVation. This is from the Alpha Pro series. These guys put on a ton of show matches. These replays are available on their Match Arena page for $2 or so. I'm going to put a link to the Wikipedia page so you can find out all about the Alpha Pro series. Head on over there. You'll find the Match Arena there if you want to purchase these replays as well. That's how I got hold of them. Paying it forward, you know, this $2. It's actually a steal when they put out replays like this. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you check that out, guys. Alpha Pro series. As we get into this is YouTube exclusive for me. Obviously, it was streamed elsewhere beforehand, but it does obviously mean all the benefits of YouTube exclusive. We get to focus fully on the games, none of that Twitch chat nonsense. You know, I read the YouTube comments after the games and after the upload and stuff, not while we're doing it, so I can get tilted without you guys hearing me, which is awesome. I do have a favor to ask you guys. So you guys probably know PvTer, Rifkin. So Rifkin had to restart his YouTube channel a little while ago. I think a few months back he really made the decision to restart it, and I know where you think this is going. You're gonna ask, you think I'm gonna ask you to go and subscribe to him to help a buddy out. No, fuck that guy. No, Rifkin, you don't want anything to do with him. What he said to me, he was like, "Hey, Wardy, I see our channels are on the same number of views or subscribers. Sorry, do you want to race to 10,000?" I was like, "Buddy, wouldn't even be a race. I'd beat you there, no problem." So now I have to back up my words, right? So I need you guys, if you're watching this right now, get on that subscribe button, help me out, help me beat up PvTer, in a friendly competition, and hey, get us both up to 10,000 subs. That'd be awesome for the StarCraft community. So please do consider hitting that subscribe button. And of course, if you really enjoy, consider liking the video as well and dropping a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this series. That's all I'm going to say about it for a few games at least. This is a best of 9. Let's start watching the builds, because builds in the best of 9 really do develop based on what happens in the earlier games, right? Because there is so much room for variety, and it's really important, especially when you've got so many games, to really remember what happens early, because that can influence pretty much the rest of the series as well. So that is what we're going to be paying attention to here. As we do see, the early game is pretty regular though, so as far as it goes for game number 1, this is as standard as it gets. Twilight Council on the way down from Trap, going to be a Blink opener. Meanwhile, you've got Reaper expansion out of InNoVation, and he's now dropping down that factory to be able to get this up onto the main base and get some harassment going. Obviously, you've got a lot of options from there. This probe gets back into the main. That's amazing. Gets a full scout. Sees, okay, you're on double gas. You're not going into a super fast 3cc. And that's like dream scenario when you hide this probe on the map and you run it by to get up into the main. Amazing. You couldn't have asked for more information. So Trap is a very happy Protoss player right now. He has full info of what's going on. We missed it on the screen, but the Reaper did go down. It didn't really do much in terms of scout and information. It got to see the Twilight Council, so it also got to, it got to do its job, but it does give this Adept freedom with the Stalker to move across the map and apply some pressure, which means that these few Marines really have to be on top of their game right here. But there's 6 of them already, and I don't think that this first Adept and Stalker will do too much about that. The Stalker will get pushed down to the low ground, then back up. It's kind of weird because usually pushing a Stalker to the low ground is pretty nice, but when the Adept is still high ground, you still have high ground vision, so that Stalker can still shoot the Marines without really any issues. So overall, it's just too many Marines though. Now 2 Stalkers, but the Adepts on the low ground, maybe you could use the Shade for vision on the high ground. You can see InNoVation will back away, and you can see the idea is there for Trap to try and fight, and yeah, I mean, he's going to poke around, but he doesn't really want to lose these gateway units. He loses the Adept. The Adept's obviously the least valuable of all because you're not upgrading anything for the Adept here. In fact, you're going into Blink, so you really want to keep those Stalkers alive because the more Stalkers you have, the more utility you're going to gain. So you do see the first 2 Widowmines. Well, they are going to move out onto the map in the medevac, and we'll keep an eye to see where they are going to end up in the next little while here. So 2 Widowmines coming down the right side, couple of gateways from Trap out the front. And the Stalkers, again, just on themselves back and seeing where they want to hang out for the next few moments. As an observer will come up through the center. And obviously, that's going to be giving Trap some vision. That Robo behind this Twilight opener. Very standard play. And a Robo Bay and a Forge, boom. Going to go straight to Colossus and +1 attack. into the third base, right? It's very, very typical. Blink Stalkers cover you quite well when you go into Colossus. You'll get +1 attack because you're Stalker heavy right now, and you'll go into charge and armor upgrades a bit later, probably with the second Forge added in the mid-game. Now there's a couple of Widow Mines, they're kind of looking for an opening, but they weren't exactly rushing across yet. I don't think InNoVation's boosted this medevac since it actually left the base, and it really took the longest route around to get here now, and it's just going to sit here and wait and just try and hope that at some point Trap is making or is paying less attention. As that's a nice catch though. These Marines get an observer as the Raven pops out. So the investment into a Raven here from InNoVation, that's quite nice. I saw somebody asking in the comments of one of my videos the other day, why don't Terrans get a Raven anymore? I'm not sure what matchup they were talking about, but obviously the Raven just has had a few changes, and you know, Interference Matrix costs a bit more now. It's just such a flavor kind of unit. It's like, is it in fashion? Yes, people are going to get it. Is it not? Probably because people are doing builds where the Raven can't be utilized properly. It's one of those units where it is so niche in its uses, and a certain few attacks kind of revolve around it. You can only do so much, and well, this is one of the reasons why people hate building Ravens. But InNoVation has no one to blame for that other than himself, right? He's trying to fly that Raven across the map to harass with auto turrets. That's obviously as brazen as you can get with the Raven. You know, it's not protected at all. Yes, a bit unfortunate the Stalkers find it, but hey, you know, this is what Blink Stalkers do. They stay out the front, they look for opportunities like that. They're checking around, and it's not like flying the Raven over the third base location isn't somewhere the Stalkers would be, because obviously the Stalkers want to keep checking, are you taking a third base or not? That's really important information for Trap to have. So, gotta put that one on InNoVation, as we do see the 2 Widowmine drop. I mean, this has been waiting for an eternity, and Trap, well, he is going to be able to... I'm... okay, you know, I was going to say Trap was able to respond. I feel like that was very half-arsed, right? What was that? He sees it, he pulls Protoss, he's like, you know what, I'm going to lose 9 workers anyways. That is not the level of play I'm expecting to see in this series, because this is Trap. That wasn't even exciting, that was just sad. I mean, why did Trap let so many probes die? Okay, well, hopefully he sharpens up a little bit, as we will see this Bioforce pulling away. Doesn't really want to engage into the Colossus, right? Just wants to try and clean up a bit of map vision, kind of push the Protoss back so that they aren't on the map. And obviously behind this, InNoVation gets that 3rd CC up and running, 4th and 5th racks online. Goes into +1 armor. And keep an eye on if he takes an armor or not, because that'll tell us a lot about maybe if the SCVs are going to come across the map in this game. Especially against Colossus, SCV pulls, I mean, Colossus builds were where SCV pulls originated. You know, they really were just the kind of, you know, an SCV pull kind of, it soaks the Colossus damage, so the bio behind has time to dish out its damage instead. That's why SCV pulls became so popular. It was typically during Double Forge Robo Bay days, because obviously then you'll be very greedy as the Protoss and you don't have enough units to survive the attack. For the moment, InNoVation just goes for a mass drop down the right side. He's dragged these units all the way to the top left. I mean, in terms of just positional play, it's exactly what InNoVation wants to do here, right? He won't load into the medevacs, he's very afraid of being blinked upon. As the blink comes in there, he'll try and stim away, but great force fields. It's an amazing cleanup for Trap if he wasn't about to lose the 3rd Nexus, but the recall will come in. Maybe InNoVation seen that recall. Okay, the Colossus are actually on the top side of this. Ooh, sweet save with Prison. Widow Mines might buy you some time. He's going to go to the natural Zealots. Grid him. What a defense by Trap. Oh my god, absolutely stellar. And now he's got a couple force fields from behind. Well, doesn't need them because the medevacs lift and leave. But my god, that was absolutely impeccable from Trap. When the Colossus appeared here, I was like, oh, that's InNoVation's chance to break him. Boom, saves it in the Prism. Zealots over here. I mean, you couldn't have asked for more on a defense, actually. Really good job off the back of that recall. And now InNoVation is unloading, and suddenly Trap is chasing him across the map, ready to fight. Ghost Academy extra starport coming down, obviously no kind of SCV pull here, up to 61 SCVs as well. Where are the Colossus, though? They're just trailing behind a little bit, so needs to get these here with the army. I mean, that's the real threat in this army of Trap still. As we do have the Stalkers looking to press forwards, Vikings wanting to maybe try and get an observer here. I mean, there's an observer right there. Doesn't really matter at this point, right? It's about the main army fight, so... well, Stalkers get rid of pretty much every single Viking. Colossus still alive, and well, now we see a defensive SCV pull. There's great force fields as well. Trap is just absolutely like a surgeon with the force fields, right? He just cuts you up the way he wants to see you cut. I guess it's kind of a bad surgeon if he doesn't put you back together and fix you. He just kind of pulls you apart and kills you off. Trap looking great, as, I mean, InNoVation's going to try and fight again, but 3rd CC is already pushed back. There's the Warp Prism to micro the Colossus too. Stalkers blink around the top to get rid of a Viking or so. The Warp Prism could go into Warping mode here. I don't think there's anything realistically that can pick that off. I mean, one Colossus goes down, right? Because the battle units get close enough. But you get that Warping of Zealots, which on its own is going to do pretty well at trading off these few last Marauders. You know, I'm saying all these things, but actually I'm kind of looking at it and maybe Trap lost a bit too much there. He does save one Colossus back at home. He's got a second. Plus one armor about to finish. He was fighting that fight without the upgrade advantage. Maybe InNoVation with the ghosts. You know, where's the armory? It still doesn't exist, actually. So maybe what InNoVation is going to go for is a bit of a later SCV, but like, it's kind of a weird game now, but, you know, 3 ghosts, a few Vikings, that's an SCV pull in the making. In fact, one of InNoVation's favorite SCV pulls of all time was the triple ghost push. He absolutely loved that build back in, I don't know, I don't want to say what year it is, but like 2015, 2016, I think. It was kind of his just staple go-to in TVP. DT's about to start showing up, but there's EMPs to help if there isn't scans available, so... let's see, the DT is going to go different ways. InNoVation's army's moving out, and that's the biggest issue here. So he will start to lose SCVs. I mean, what does he do? He pulls them across right here. I mean, starts a turret up in the main base, right? But that just feels like you're grasping at straws, and I think, yeah, they're just going to come across the map and try and end this game. So, obviously, Trap sees this. The DT watches the the SCVs starting to move over. So Trap will just be like, okay, cool, well, full on, all in. Time for me to defend. So he pulls all the way back to his natural even. You know, he could probably hold this ramp here, but he's not even going to sit there, as he's just going to come straight on back to the natural. He's going to give InNoVation base number 1, and he's going to give InNoVation probably base number 2 in a moment, because he knows the DTs across the map are doing a lot of damage. He knows the SCVs are pulled. Trap doesn't necessarily need to defend the third base, although I gotta say there's still a lot of pylons to be losing, and this Immortal is kind of wandering forwards into the middle of nowhere as well. Oh, Trap's going to flank around from the back side. Interesting is now the SCVs aren't soaking the Colossus hits. Oh, well, I mean, Trap's not really doing very well at all. The Vikings are going to get rid of this Colossus too. And now it's just bio units. The Vikings will land, so the Stalkers go down faster. Zealots charging in, but I think InNoVation has enough. I mean, yeah, even Trap's confused because I think this game was very favorable for him. Types out GG. Let's just, you know what, let's do a bit of analysis here. Let's do a bit of a quick, let's do a quick rewind because that's actually really intriguing. I just want to bring it back to just before this fight, or so, if possible, a little bit before now, maybe like, let's go here and we can just move forwards. So Trap decides to come around this side to flank InNoVation. Now, the idea of the SCV pull is to always like take those SCVs in the front. The Colossus will deal damage to the SCVs, and so the splash damage doesn't go onto the bio army. Now, InNoVation enters this with like a 14 army supply lead. Yeah, he's got ghosts, so he does have some tech in this army, but it's not like super crazy compared to 3 Colossus. I mean, yes, there's 5 Vikings too, which really isn't that many. I think Trap just dies, literally because he's pushing up a ramp. Everything clumps up, so the EMPs here are going to be massive. So EMP number 1, boom, hits almost everything on the front. Then you're going to hit EMP number 2 in the back. The sentries, well, they only were able to get off the Guardian shields. And now because of the EMPs, first Colossus dies really quick. The Zealots get chewed up. And I mean, these units, they're just derping around still trying to fight. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just the fight that doesn't go well at all for Trap. I really would love to see a replay of this where InNoVation fights here and Trap defends here, because I really feel this is a game where Trap has kind of got this under control. Anyways, we're going to wrap up this game one, guys. Let's just get to the end screen just so you know when to cut it off. InNoVation picking up the first map of this best of 9. What a first game, though. Really, really crazy, especially because it felt like InNoVation was on the ropes, and, well, he was on the ropes. There's a reason he was all in. Trap isn't able to hold it off, maybe makes a mistake in the defense. Well, guys, we're going to go into game number 2. InNoVation leads 1-0. Okay, going into game number 2, we're going to move into Triton for our second map. In the top left-hand side, our blue Protoss player is Trap. And in the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran, InNoVation. He leads 1-0, of course. You probably heard me say that like 5 times in the last 20 seconds, because YouTube videos get cut up, and here's me 2 minutes later thinking, yeah, you know what, I'll be smart to tell you guys the score again, as though you guys have no clue. InNoVation and Trap have quite a history. It's actually much closer than I feel like you'd think it should be almost. InNoVation's won 33 series against 33 maps to 27 maps. InNoVation most recently lost to Trap in GSL Code S round of 8 in Season 2. Trap was always thought to be, by the way, and I think still is. People would say Trap is the best PvT in the world, and that's probably why he's done very well against InNoVation this year. He lost to InNoVation in a Lima League in May, but other than that, GSL, Afrika Invitationals, he lost to InNoVation in another Lima League this year as well, but that's pretty much it. He beat him in pretty much any... I mean, 4-2 in the Lima League finals at the start of the year, and this really was Trap's year, right? His PvT really did amazing things for him, carrying him through into GSL finals, and I mean, his other matchups as well, but specifically his PvT helped him to take down players like Maru, and I mean, what a year he's had, and obviously InNoVation along the way as well. I think that, coupled with a typically weak TVP of InNoVation, is what's really been the kind of downfall for InNoVation in this matchup over the ages, or at least over the last 2 years. Because before August of 2018 even, so even talking about in the last like 15 months, before then, Trap had only beaten InNoVation one time, and that was in GSL Code A, which was a bit of a shock. That was in 2016. Before that, InNoVation just had Trap's number. You know, he dropped him map here, dropped him map there, but something clicked in like end of last year. That's kind of when Trap kind of became a big threat again, I feel, in the overall kind of scheme of like modern day StarCraft 2, because people forget Trap won an MLG. People forget he's been in like a Casper Cup finals in 2016. You know, he's always been good, but he's never been the best. And obviously this year he really broke out into being this player who was able to really take on the greats, you know, back-to-back Code S finals. I mean, what more could you ask for from a guy this year? Really impressive stuff from Trap, and again, I think it shows just looking at InNoVation's record against him, he became a different player, and that, you know, something clicked in his PvT that's obviously just said, hey, yeah, I can play this matchup real well. So here's we go into game number 2, and I told you a little bit about, obviously, watching builds, but this so far looks to be a similar build from both players. The Adept and the Stalker here from Trap says, yep, just going to go into Blink, Twilight Council. The InNoVation sees that Stalker already. He's not seen the Twilight, but seeing that Stalker's already a sign, it's got a chance of being a similarity. So, again, a little bit of info you can pick up there with the Reaper already. And he's just going into that Widowmine drop. Double gas, Starport drops down. InNoVation see no reason to change this up just yet. Though I do have to say, if this game looks anything like the first game, I really feel like a couple of tweaks and Trap should have this easily. So, maybe it is InNoVation that needs to change something up, but you all know how InNoVation is. InNoVation likes to play the exact same build until it fails. And so even if he somehow wins the game when it didn't make sense, he'll still be like, well, why would I change my build? I would, right? So, yeah, very interesting to see kind of his thought process on that sometimes. There's a couple of Widowmines set up in that main base. The Adept is, well, looking as though it wants to maybe shade up this ramp in towards the main. Marines will get a shot off to push the Stalker back down the ramp. Just watching this Adept here in the front from Trap. Hanging around a little bit as well. More Marines come together. We do see the Stalker. And there's going to be, again, a little bit of back and forth between the two of them here. Adept doesn't commit up there. And the Marines will be able to hold this high ground for the moment. 2 more barracks on the way down from InNoVation, so just going straight to his bio play. Again, love what Trap is doing here with the early Adept and the early Stalkers. Really just picking up just bits and pieces of damage. And if this was something like a fast tank push play by InNoVation, it just means these Marines are already bruised, battered, before the fights even start. And obviously if you're going to Blink Stalkers as Trap, there's more and more opportunities for you to be able to damage these Marines before they take a fight. So these are just easy pickoffs right now. So really cool early game cute micro from Trap. Even improves not losing the Adept this time around. And now Blink finishes up. He's going to Robo Bay, no Forge this time to accompany it. As I've been a very bad observer, haven't I, and just completely missed the Widowmine drop. I do apologize, guys. Didn't kill any probes until just now. This one gets 2 more, actually. So, overall, 5 workers killed. I was just caught up a little bit talking about those Stalkers fighting at the front, so I do apologize about that. Obviously, even that is more... It's kind of weird, because it's more damage faster. But obviously, in the long term, InNoVation got 9 workers last time, but that did come later. So obviously the earlier you kill workers, the sooner you have an impact on the mining and the income of your opponent. So you could argue that this is maybe better than the last one because it's done earlier. I don't know the exact math, but when he killed 9 probes last time, it was pretty late on. It's probably like, it's give or take, right? So I don't think he minds, you know, only getting 4 probes. 4 probes is already great, right? Usually you're looking at 1 probe per Widowmine usually is like nice. So getting 2 per would mine is great to see. Trap linking up into this main, and Blink might bring back down when getting into trouble here. I mean, even this just draining the medevac energy, right? Just taking that out of play. And look at InNoVation, by the way, straight into a second starport. Doesn't even doubt it for a second. I mean, he's scanned, so he's seen the Robobay. He knows what's going on. He's been, maybe that was with the medevac. He was in there to see that. And that means he just knows, okay, well, it's Colossus. And I'm just going to go straight to the second starport. In the second starport this quickly, no third CC, 5 racks. We're talking about an all-in, guys. You do not go into this much production of 2 bases and afford a third CC at any reasonable time. Maybe you push out and you build a third CC behind it just in case. But this really looks as though InNoVation is looking to push and try and get something. I mean, you can see Chap putting the question mark down, and I really would assume that this is probably him like, well, either it's him like, hi, why you follow my observer, or he's like, where's the third CC? Because there's absolutely no third CC here. So, yeah, I don't have a Korean translator on board. Maybe someone watching can translate. But, yeah, here we go. InNoVation going to push out. Now, if he's going to build a third, it's behind this, right? Because you can't really, 7 minutes starting the third is already, maybe like we've seen sometimes an 8-minute third base, but anything else than that is really, you're just, what are you going to gain? Really not much at all. So do you see this Bioforce pushing through the center, coming up to the top side? And, well, Stalkers, Sentries, and a bunch of Zealots hanging out down this ramp. Looks like we might have a bit of a fight breaking out as InNoVation going to go into this. Now, Trap's actually very smartly, I think, gone Disruptors because he saw the double starport reactors, so Vikings won't do much here. Now InNoVation drops these Vikings down and held out, realizing there's no Colossus. Well, there is one Colossus. Fooled him for a moment, didn't he? InNoVation pressing forwards here. The Colossus taking some shots. Stalker's doing a good job targeting the Vikings. The Vikings will all go down. The Stalker's able to get rid of those nice and quickly, as we do see. I know Nelly gets a gateway, but that's about it. No Disruptors even really fired here, so not much gain from those just yet. InNoVation will start up a Liberator or 2, which you can't really blame him for either, because obviously it doesn't really look like a scenario where you want to continue building Vikings. So, he's going to build 3 more medevacs as well. InNoVation will just take the chance to come towards the third base, but obviously with the Disruptors here, you can do a lot of forced positioning with the Disruptors, forcing the Terran back. Problem is, for the moment, forcing the Terran back just keeps him near the third base, and looks like InNoVation might kill that off. Obviously, Trap knows, well, you've got no third CC of your own, but this is almost, you can transition territory for InNoVation, right? He's almost at that point as he takes a couple of Disruptor shots where you can just say, you know what, let's throw down the command center, let's go into this. This time, the Vikings will kill a Colossus before the Stalkers can get rid of all of them, and now the Bio Army can keep pressing in a little bit. The Sentry drops down on the bottom. Can't chase up this random, not with the Disruptors yet. Most you're going to get these couple of gateways, and that should be it. At this point, I think you should leave. The Liberator sieging up isn't going to do anything other than just give, a sitting target for the Stalkers to get on top of. Liberator sieges gets one shot, Stalkers get rid of it. I feel that's a misjudgment and bad judgment call by InNoVation, right? He's just moving in and sieging up, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to kill you right now, but is he going to kill him now? He's killing a good few Disruptors, so maybe continuing to fight here was not as bad of an idea as I was making out to seem. The extra Zealots will be joined up as well. Units still chasing down through the center. Another Marauder picked off. These Stalkers going to blink in for another Marauder, another Marine. Some of these medevacs taking damage. That's another little blink forward to pick off another Marine as well. So decent damage altogether, as we will see these 2 Liberators sieging up. Bio able to fight back a little bit there. 2 more Disruptors on the way out. 4 medevacs. Marauders and Marines still coming into play. Trap continuing to come down through into the center of the map here. So that's a nice scan. Going to be able to pick off an Observer there. From the high ground, Disruptor shot is going to hit a Marauder. That's quite nice, right, for a unit. And now Trap just drops down the third Nexus, but obviously InNoVation built a third CC. Well, no, sorry, he didn't even. He actually just went and moved his main orbital. So InNoVation is just still too base in this. The reluctance to build a third. I thought he would have just built a third at this point. You kill off the third Nexus. Yeah, you're still trading, but it's Disruptors. He's so hard to properly kill. mean, maybe he just feels like the momentum he can still use in his favor. But now Colossus on the way back of double Robo. Hey, let's see what this drop does, though, because this base isn't finished building. It's seen by a pylon, and yeah, these units on the way back. If InNoVation had unloaded he and Stim to kill the third, I think he gets it, because there is nothing nearby. You can't recall in a base that's not finished, obviously. And obviously, Trap was way out of position, so probably like that. The Marauders here, guys split actually. And, yeah, it cost him 2 Marauders, but he gets to make that 3. But he gets a Disruptor and a Stalker out of it. Now these Medivacs are just going to sit here and, you know, poise a threat. Not really much of a surprise. We see the rest of this Terran army coming around the right. Question is, how do you get these Medivacs into play without you losing them? It's going to be tough, because obviously Trap knows about them. He's going to keep good coverage. InNoVation's going to hide around the right-hand side. So Trap moving through the center of the map. InNoVation's going to dart in and get that third base. But then he might lose his own third, which is obviously his main base orbital. And, well, let's see. He scans, and okay, as he scans, Trap's like, no, I'm going to move back up here. InNoVation is just walking forwards. Literally will siege, so he's pretty solidified in this position. Those Medivacs on the top are still not in play. That's got to be a massive issue over time here. Stuff shot. Finds a Marauder, that's about it. Robes will go down, still just seeing Stalks blinking in. Now this Bioforce from the top side comes in, but I feel like InNoVation's just lost the army on the right. Now the army on the top comes in, it's like, well, you saw it do something, sure, Colossus are dropping, but the Zealots and Stalkers will win out the rest of the ground war, and, you know, now the Stalkers can blink after Medivacs as well. So yeah, you can run all you like, InNoVation, but Trap has picked off a lot here, honestly, and he keeps that third base alive, and obviously this is proper 3-base mining. Yeah, okay, the main base is halfway gone because it's a bit of a later stage game scenario. But InNoVation is in trouble. He's not mining as much as Trap is, and he kind of still has to make something happen, and that just wasn't a good fight. Like, it wasn't, like, super efficient. It wasn't super effective. And you can just see now, I mean, InNoVation just pulling back down the bottom. A couple extra Liberators coming out. A couple extra Colossus on the way. And here we go, from Trap, push forwards, as the Bio Army will stim into this. You're going to see the Disruptor start to fire. InNoVation with a decent little split to start. Next little split is okay as well, but he just doesn't have the units. Doesn't matter what the Disruptors are hitting. The rest of the army is cleaning up anyways. Don't think we need to rewind this one. I think it's pretty apparent how this one went down. Well played from Trap, I think. There was definitely, I feel, moments where InNoVation could have done things just slightly differently. And he probably has this game under lock and key, especially those 2 Medivacs. If they just unload and stim at the third, that dies. And then obviously it's a very different game in how it plays out and what Trap decides to do. But obviously the fight he ended up taking just did not work out for him at all. That is GG's, and Trap will tie this up 1-1, going to a game 3. So, a map number 3. And in the bottom left-hand side of World of Sleepers, we do have the blue Protoss player. It is Trap. And the top right, our red Terran, it's InNoVation. Alright, third game of the series. Get this going. Have a look to see what these guys will get up to here. Over the first couple of moments, obviously just a pile on a depot. World of Sleepers is a map. I still don't even know what to make of this map. Protoss hate playing against Zerg. TVP... It obviously feels like it comes down to these fights where one player is just pushing through this choke into this base, or pushing up this ramp into the bases. And that can work either way, depending on the units you have in play. It's not an amazing map for like tank pushes or anything. You know, tank pushing, you can maybe like siege up tanks down here, but what does it really reach? Tanks over here, they don't really get covered or anything. They're just so far, you know, all these ledges are so far away, so for Terran pushing, it doesn't really do much, you know, pushing into a 30-base Protoss. And as the Protoss play against, like, well, Terran can get a decent concave here, some defensive AoE will just slow down any push forwards. So for me, it's always one of these maps where you can definitely get into a bit of a different game. Now, we used to have Rich Vespene Geysers on World of Sleepers, but those aren't around anymore. So without the Rich Vespene Geysers, you're kind of, you know, these central bases are kind of weird because they're just one-gas bases, so while you might have seen those bases taken before at the risk of it being way more open to be attacked into, you also now risk yourself, you know, now you don't even get a Rich Vespene gas, you actually cut down on the gas, and so it's like, well, why would you take the middle base? So unlikely to see that come into play as the first SCV scout gets the Nexus scout, Reaper's on the way. I mean, that's all the information you really need. Seeing the Nexus, like, there's not much more this SCV can actually scout. because once you've seen the Nexus, that's basically it, as confirmation. Chop's very vocal today, isn't he? I don't know what he's saying, but he keeps on saying a few different things in the chat here. And, yeah, he's having a little bit of a discussion with InNoVation this time. So, just getting going and seeing what these guys will, of course, set up to. It's a Twilight Council again. Trap just loves the, blink opener. Can you blame him? In fairness, it's kind of worked for him so far. I said pay great attention to the builds in game number 1. I feel like that's going to come back and bite me in the ass. Watch them just do the same build like 9 games in a row or something. Can you imagine? They just agree before, they're like, hey, I really want to practice this PvT build. And InNoVation's like, well, I really want to practice this TVP build against that PvT build. And then they just do the same thing like 9 times in a row. In reality, it's just a very safe opener for Trap, and in a world where Oracles are... It's interesting because actually Oracles and Phoenix openings are very popular in Europe. But obviously not so much in Trap's arsenal just yet, at least. And for InNoVation, for InNoVation's build, obviously the first few minutes makes a lot of sense because there's not much you can do to change up from like the Widowmine drop opening, etc. That's really effective and non-committal. But this is a change-up. He's going to move the factory off the tech lab, and that means the Starbolt will have access to go straight into a Banshee. Unless he wants to get like a super fast Raven, but that'd be really quick. Like to get a Raven before any other early game Starport units, I feel like that's a mistake because do you really benefit from the gas that quickly? Or from the energy on that Raven that quickly? Probably not. You kind of need... It's just so defensive almost because you just don't get much off the Raven for so long. And then you're not putting any pressure on the Protoss, and then you're just saying, well, you know what, do what you want. I'm not going to really be able to scout you at all. So he's going to go Cloak Banshee instead. I mean, as Trap just goes into that, very standard build order, he's already getting a Robo Facility up. This doesn't mean the Banshee is useless. What it does mean is that the Banshee's not just going to fly in and get 20 probes guaranteed, but it could find a good opportunity to get in, maybe get a few workers here, get out, join up with Banshee number 2, and boom, fly and get some workers all at once. That could be great. What's obviously, we're seeing tank production as well, and Marines still rallying out, so it feels like from InNoVation, he might send the first Banshee to harass, try and keep it alive, and then pull back into just a larger Marine tank Banshee push. These are pretty much all of the highest DPS units you can build in the early stages here, so maybe, pull 4 SCVs with an attack like that. Let's see if the factory makes another tank. It does. It does feel like he's probably with 2 tanks or so going to push. It's one of the better maps for this, so if you're going to push early, what you can do is siege tanks here and bunker here, and then obviously you can work forwards from that position. So in that regard, a tank push on this map isn't so bad, mostly because it's flat ground in front of the natural, so you can get the bunkers up. Compared to some of the other maps where obviously you've got a ramp up, this would be like the ramp into the natural. You can't like bunker up here, it's just not going to do anything. So let's have a look. I mean, first Banshee's about to arrive in the main. No protection here just yet. And Banshee number 2 is already out. It's a Banshee 3 building, so there's absolutely commitment to Banshees and damage output units here. There's 2 workers killed. There's new observers about to finish. InNoVation sees the Stalkers. He's not going to push his luck, and Stalkers will blink to the low ground. That's probably a Banshee killer, right? Nice being able to blink to the low ground, of course. Help kill that off. And here we go. Siege tank number 2 is here. Marines are gathering together. Salvage that bunker. And away InNoVation goes to try and do something. Looks like he'll just come straight through the center for the moment. Maybe... he could maybe go up here and push towards the 3rd base if that's the position he wants to try and make something happen. But these Blink Stalkers are doing what they're made to do. They take map control, they get a few shots off. There's the 4 SCVs to build up the bunkers. And obviously as you have the map control here for these Stalkers, they can start to really pick up some kills in these Marines. And that's a really nice scan as well. Picks off that Observer. That's a great job well done there. And you have this Banshee number 2 showing up, and again, these units together are going to go pushing in towards this 3rd base. Bezella goes down, and Observer to the right-hand side. Couple of Stalkers going to dive on this right away, so not giving any time for bunkers to come up. Charges done. I mean, this is just a massacre. The only thing that's sort of doing anything is the Banshees, which won't last much longer. As, yeah, it's a full cleanup, isn't it? And with really relative ease, Immortal picks up a good few kills. Stalkers blink, cleans up this next Banshee. InNoVation not having a good time at all here, as the few Zealots will continue to chase that siege tank down. That's going to be dropping in a moment or so, as the rest of these Marines still just trying to escape away up to the top right-hand side. So Stimpack combat shields Those are coming up back at home for InNoVation, but he doesn't really have the units right away to defend against this. You see a couple of Zealots getting picked off already. Trap's going to pull back a little further. Against Impact Combat Shields, that +1 attack. All upgrades coming into play right now, as we also have the Templar Archives dropping down on the Natural. And here we go. Trap just set out the front, and kind of deciding, what do I want to do here? Do I want to push in? Do I want to try and take a fight? You know, how do I approach this next couple of moments, because you've got to be a little bit cautious. It's a nice scan, gets the Observer again. InNoVation is very good at Observer scanning. I mean, all the top Terrans are. You kind of have to be. But 3 in a 7.5-minute game, it's really nice. Especially in a game like this, where you kind of want the units up as Trap, although maybe not so much now. By the way, Trap's economy, 60, I just looked at it, 66 probes. That's full 3-base saturation in effect. Against InNoVation, he's like, la-di-da, trying to get a third CC going. It's obviously InNoVation just committed to an early attack, and it didn't really do enough. This Banshee now, you know, yes, he's still picking up some damage here and there, so he's getting bits and pieces done, but it is costing him Banshees, which aren't exactly cheap to make. This should be his last Banshees in medevac production now. As a Prism comes across the map, Trap looking to use these Zealots, and well, he's also upgrading Storm, just getting into a position where he can continue to be aggressive, basically, as Trap comes all the way around this top side. Really looking to figure out which way he wants to take this Prism into the main. So trying to figure that out. InNoVation's 3rd CC will move forwards. He's going to take the forward base InNoVation. I mean, I guess because he just wants to attack, and he just wants to go from that forward base, rally forwards. I feel like whatever base he takes, it doesn't really matter. Trap's lead almost feels insurmountable if InNoVation is just to sit back and do nothing. So InNoVation has to do something, in which case, you know, whatever base he takes doesn't really matter that much, does it? Zealot's already just kind of coming in here, and in fairness, the Wolf is in play. He's going to get a couple of S&D kills, but, you know, 9 workers killed is pretty decent. In fact, you know, who am I kidding? 9 workers killed is actually pretty great. So InNoVation loses quite a few SCVs there. He was quick to get to it, but the few Zealots, the target fire was great. He left a few Zealots to fight the bio, and then a few Zealots just targeted down these SCVs. Not enough to get any kills his way or anything, so now it's InNoVation sees Storm for the first time. Ooh, just kill a High Templar with that Widowmine shot, so not the worst trade. Sims ahead with a few units, might catch another High Templar here. Marauders in some trouble as the Storm drops, and the Immortal was already in the front there helping out. See then this rest of his bio. Still trying to press in another Storm to turn this around. The Zealot picked off. The Zealot on the bottom side coming in as well. The bio on the top. It's a really weird fight because Trap's almost let him come this late. That's really bad, but he's going to lose all those Widowmines without doing anything. Oh, InNoVation, that's so much to lose. The one benefit for him is that he's kind of heading towards the bases, while Trap's army is obviously kind of trailing, so InNoVation can maybe make a bit of a play, but he might also get cornered in, so he can't really commit for too long. He's going to maybe lift and leave, but then the Stalker's going to blink after him. He's going to, you can see he's already unloading. He knows the Stalkers are going to blink, so he's unloaded to fight the Stalkers already, but it's not going to be pretty at all, as you see more bio rallying into this. It's the Archons, it's the Immortals, they just aren't units that are going to die here. And obviously a few Zealots just tanking as well those Widowmines definitely help a lot, and so the Archons will go down. So maybe I'm a bit mistaken about the Archons, but the Immortals are just going to chew up the Marauders, and that's pretty much all she wrote for that Terran army. You know, there is nothing left here. InNoVation is running back home. He has not even 2 medevacs of units ready to go. So Trap wins that. The one thing that'll slow Trap down, probably wants to wait for High Templar with energy again. No reason to rush into a fight when it's already been good for you. You know InNoVation struggled on economy this game already. So just take a moment, build up a bit more, get your High Templars with energy back, put yourself in a position where you can harass and deal more damage. It's just going to solidify your victory here, and Trap knows that very well, and that's why he's moving around in this kind of way to set up for the win. I like it. It's just smart play from Trap, right? You know, it's just him looking at the game being like, understanding all the moving parts, understanding where InNoVation is at, what InNoVation can afford, etc. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Trap's just playing great PvT, I have to say. Zealots into the main as InNoVation starts to move out. Thank you very much. He'll take that. I think what a timing, by the way. It could have been better timed. It's not like he had an observer until just now to see this, so this is just a good little moment from Trap to move forwards, and WardiTV will actually hit the prism, so we'll bring that low. Zealots keep on fighting, and at the same time, Trap's now starting to drop defensive storms. There's 2 WardiTVs in this army, so you have no splash damage as the Terran to kill off what is kind of a splash damage for, you know, an army that's kind of low attack. You generally want, like, you know, EMPs against this. You don't have all WardiTVs at least, but you don't even get to see the fight because InNoVation just knows from the start this is not the kind of fight you win in this scenario. Trap goes up 2-1, takes the lead for the first time this series. In a way, it kind of feels like maybe it should be 3-0 after that first game was kind of crazy. But in general, Trap just playing some stellar PvT, and I think a lot of his decisions are just really high level, really showing great understanding of the gameplay and just what's happening. Absolutely loving it. Hope you guys are enjoying the games as well. Let's jump into a game 4. Game number 4. And in the top left corner, our blue Protoss, who has been able to take the lead for the first time in this series, it is Trap. Still a long way to go though. Best of 9 needs 3 more map wins. As in the bottom right, our red Terran player is InNoVation. Just want to say thanks again for tuning into the videos today, guys. I'm pretty sure this isn't going to get cut up into 2 parts, just because I have a lot of really cool content to upload, so it doesn't really make sense to cut this video into 2 parts. I know I did that with like a, what was it, InNoVation Zest or something that we casted a while ago. I think I usually would, but right now there's so many different replays and stuff coming up, and there's so many great games coming in. I think I just want to give you guys the full video in one day. So just if this video does end after this game, just know part 2 is coming tomorrow. I don't think it will. I think it'll continue. So yeah, this is a judgment call I'm going to make afterwards. And yeah, if you're enjoying the games, if you're enjoying the casting, a lot of people have been very complimentary about my casting and the YouTube exclusives, especially the last few days I've put YouTube exclusive casts up, which I'm kind of happy about, because actually the last few YouTube exclusive casts I've done, I felt have been really, really good, personally. I'm not trying to toot my own trumpet, but it's felt good. I don't know, I feel like I'm being interesting, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm hitting my stride in these YouTube casts, so really enjoying it, really having a great time. If you are enjoying, obviously, again, help us beat PvTer and hit that sub button. Also consider liking the videos, etc. Obviously, it all goes a long way to helping out. And thank you so much. And then one last thing I'm going to say very quickly as we watch this opening, about to really kick off, is there is a Patreon page. I'm starting to push this a little bit more in the YouTube videos because I feel like the YouTube's doing quite well at the moment. Patreon is probably the best way for you guys to support me. If you're a YouTube only watcher, you don't watch on Twitch, etc. On the Patreon, you can get replay packs of the tournaments I run and more. As well as, again, it just helps me put out more content. So if you want to check that out, the link's in the description down below. But let's really jump into this. Thank you for listening to me harp on a couple minutes about selling out, basically. And as you do see, the Reaper will come up to the top left-hand side. And that's going to be moving in to try and see what it can do. So we're going to hop up in towards the main, drops a grenade, and already Probe is being blasted around a little bit. Adept will start to shade here from Trap. Twilight Council building up from Trap in the main base. Getting that up, getting that ready to go. Reaper out the front, just patrolling away, and the reactor on the barracks as the factory finishes and the starport will also begin. Getting this set to go as the Reaper grenade pops down. The Adept will continue to chase on down the bottom right. Starport coming in then. So again, getting this ready to roll, getting this set to start. Adept gonna just wander forwards again. Wouldn't mind here at the front, will burrow up, and the blink is going to start from Trap. So getting that underway. A couple more Marines on the way here. Wouldn't mind about a pop medevac coming into play. This Reaper is going to go chasing the Adept Stalker back up the top side. It's the same build again by Trap, right? It's really kind of crazy. Like, it's actually just a bit crazy. Like, InNoVation did change it up in the last game, but it's the exact same thing from Trap, where he's going to try... Oh, that was a bit late on the Adept Shade. He's trying to set off the Widowmine there. The Widowmine really stops Trap from being aggressive like he has been with these couple Stalkers, etc. And InNoVation goes triple Widowmine, so you can still send 2 across the map. This time Trap's going to try it again. He's again just a little late. And the Widowmine on Burrows, so good play by Inno. Yeah, that Widowmine just really covers these units from doing as much. So this is actually a good example of why watching the same builds can actually be very interesting in a longer series, because this adaptation from InNoVation just says, cool, I'm back to doing this Widowmine drop, but he really likes doing this opening with the 2 Stalkers and the Adept. What can I do to help myself up against that? 1 Widowmine at the front, and instantly the Marines are so much healthier, and it's so much less micro-intensive for him as he comes in with the Widowmine drop across the map still, and he will get a couple of probes. He should be able to get out of there with the Medevac. Medevac doesn't have boost yet, Stalkers have blink in a moment, but the Medevac's long gone. They can wait around to get another Widowmine drop off at some stage. Forge on the Robo as well, really positioned in a bit of an odd spot. Very easy to scout, but not only that, very snipeable, right? If you get a drop into this natural, it's generally going to come from this direction. These are like the first targets. You drop into this natural, I look at this, I'm like, well, actually, I can kill the Forge. Take that any day of the week, slow down your upgrades. It's like when you're in the main base, there's a reason you don't build your structures over here, or, you know, if you do, it's usually, you know, masses of gateways, because the drop's going to come in this direction. That's going to be the first target. So this, I guess Trap's maybe just super confident. If I was InNoVation, I'd already be thinking, hey, if I get to a mid-game position and I'm going to start dropping, I'd love to draw him out of position over here and hit that Forge and that Robo Bay and try and give myself an advantage through killing structures. As these Stalkers continuing down to the bottom right, +1 attack, and extended thermal lance coming through. Both gateways going to drop down in the main base, so getting those set up, and we will see the Widowmine continuing over as well. The rest of these Stalkers going to get with the blink now, aggressive. InNoVation went into a Raven again, so back into what he did in game number 1. The game he won was the game he called a Raven. It did nothing, remember. It flew straight into Stalkers, it got sniped down almost immediately. Didn't even get to cast an auto turret, which took some shields off Stalkers. It was really useless. So this game, maybe a bit of a different plan. Currently rocking the 3 racks, and it looks like he will line up a 3rd CC. So InNoVation, a lot of his build adaptations are coming at like the 4 or 5 minute marker, rather than like, you know, the first 3 minutes of the game where Protoss player decides what texture structure to put down. InNoVation's opening is the same, but the end goal is different. So you see, he continues to push back those Stalkers quite nicely, so those continue to go out to the left. And InNoVation into the middle of the map might be looking to push up here as well. See what else he can do. An Observer's going to go running, scan for it. Doesn't need to scan because there's a Raven Wardy. Well remembered that unit can detect things. I actually sort of thought the Raven wouldn't be fast enough, but the combination of speed buffs and nerfs makes it okay to get there. Well, again, the 3rd CC is up from InNoVation, so we do have an idea of where this is going to go. So Widowmine just picks up a couple probes that come over to this base as well, so love to see that. Just again, lone Widowmine just gets it over there. That's the Widowmine that was guarding the front before. It just ran across the map and, hey, you know, pays for itself a little bit further. And I love this. Unburrow, move over. Scouting information, right? You know that Widowmine is going to die anyways. A lot of people would just ignore it and say, okay, Zealots are going to kill it. No, InNoVation moves it over. Yes, it might not get away, but it's the extra information you can find by moving it forwards that's so very important. It's one of those things that really differentiates the greats from the best. And did you see Zealots across the map? And those are going to go after a couple of SCVs. He had 3 down at the moment. Cross assault. Gonna press in. This is where the Matrixes come into play, and Force Fields have to come in to protect that Colossus. It's a good defense by Trap. He gets hit by the Matrix, he pulls back quickly enough. And then he just Force Fields to save himself as well, because he knows he can't stick around there. InNoVation needs to kind of get out of here, actually. His body units are very low, because the Medevacs have been moving rather than healing. He will lift, he will boost. Raven got the head start it needed, and I don't think Trap can justify a blink after that one. Because he has to run to here, then blink. If you get a blink immediately, and then blinks again on cooldown, maybe. But yeah, having to like get to here, then blink to the low ground, etc. wasn't going to happen. So InNoVation gets away for the moment. And now the 2 Widowmines. Well, they will come around the left-hand side, aiming to drop in towards the natural expansion here. Aiming to get some damage done. Let's see what happens. The Stalker's coming over. They're going to blink in, though. And that Medevac is going to go down over water. Will never be seen again, unfortunately. Not unless someone goes digging. as the Temple Archives comes up, that's just over halfway done, and the Lone Marine is going to go on a bit of a hunt up the right-hand side, move its way towards the third base. Protoss is going to pick off the Marine. Gain Bio, pressing forwards pretty quickly here. So yeah, Bio actually presses forwards nice and early on. We've seen on the right-hand side, Zelds are going to start dropping down straight into this natural mineral line. He's going after the couple of Zelds here, a couple more SCVs being pulled into this. Only 6, 7, 8, 9 workers killed at the moment. The rest of the Bioforce coming through, and that's the rest of the Zelds going down as well. And here we go. Pushing forwards here, Liberator going to see jump with big storms. Oh god, InNoVation is really trying to press the issue up that ramp, but he drops the Matrixes, knows the storms are out of energy, so maybe he can get there for the Colossus fade, but Force fields are still there, and he can put down an extra one just to make sure. InNoVation has to back away from that. He's still up an army supply mine, so it's not terrible for him, just... I mean, it was a really bad storm though, right? Like, there's no other ways to put it. This couple of units are going to get trapped. InNoVation is finally going to decide to leave, or is he? He sets up Liberators. It just feels like this army is never meant to kill anything. Reinforcements, yes, maybe. And he will hold Trap off at the bridges. So Trap will turn back around, go up to that fourth base. It's just started up. Pull back and just disengage for the moment as InNoVation takes the opportunity to back away himself. Now here's the difference in what's being upgraded. Trap goes straight into 2-2 upgrades and says, okay, well, let's go into the later stages of the game, gets up to 2-2, etc. Not even an armory on the map for InNoVation. He's not going anywhere with his upgrades. He's going to get Liberator range, but this is almost every time going to be a committed attack in, right? And those medevacs go up the left. Hey, maybe that Forge gets picked off here. We'll see where InNoVation drops. Zald comes in, picks off the Marine, continue to move forwards, and again, just, I mean, InNoVation knows that that's what's been coming in. Oh, InNoVation actually unloaded this medevac. Well, that's a disaster, right? I don't know why he unloaded. I don't think there was any units down there. That's why I wasn't really paying attention to the drop just yet. Storm on top of the Liberators. Anti-armor missiles going to hit the few Colossus, but you know what? I mean, the Liberators are all down. The Storms have been pretty good. There's still Storms left, and the Zealots in the front. InNoVation is just going to lose this army, and he's got a bunch. He's got like 20 supply just wandering around the left side of the map. Still yet to do anything meaningful. One more Storm drops down into Archon on the High Temple when he can, but runs out of anti-S. The Liberator is actually getting a bit too much damage done, so you have to back away from that realistically. Stalker's going to warp in at home. That's probably not going to do much against this Bioforce. Zealot's starting to come into play now to at least get a front line to it. Trap's still attacking across the map. Probes will even call just to help out. I mean, now plus 2 armors in play, the Zealots really are very tanky, right? So units in general will survive that much longer against this Bioforce. Plus on the high ground might just be enough to clean this up. Depends on the Marauder micro, which is pretty good so far, so Colossus will probably fall. I mean, only just though, right? Stalker's now going to get this medevac, and the last Marauder will go down. And obviously Trap can now bring those reinforcements that he's been using to defend across the map into another fight. Worker counts are pretty even here, but Trap with the 4 Nexus can rebuild that bit faster than InNoVation on the 3CC. InNoVation yet to invest into a 4th command center as well, so if he wants to go up to 4 bases, that's going to cost him. But one of the biggest things that's going to cost InNoVation here was his decision to not go into 2-2. And especially now as he builds a 4th base and this game drags on, I think he's going to really start regretting that, because that is absolutely something which over time is just going to make this game so much more difficult. Every fight you take right now as InNoVation is going to be less and less and less effective. And that's just... I mean, that's just tough. Against someone like Trap, he's been taking some great fights here. Very close to Stalkers, and we do have the Blink in to start picking away those Libs. It's a weird position to fight in because obviously you've got these bridges which are very choked up. But once the Libs go down, there's not really much else for InNoVation to fight for. Honestly, the rest of this army will drop, and honestly, I'm expecting a GG because he's just ran out of units, right? And I think InNoVation knows he doesn't recover from a fight like that. And, you know, with no units left, where he's just like, ah, you know what? You know, pop, 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 get some more units up, I'll be good. GG's, and Trap takes game 4. Up to 3-1 lead now, so Trap opening up that scoreline a little bit, really pushing this forwards here as we go into a game number 5. So, as this best of 9 continues, we do have Trap spawning in the bottom right for Nightshade. This one's actually kind of a larger macro, macro, is that a word? No. More macro-oriented map. It's absolutely possible to get to a lot of bases on this one. 4 or 5 bases quite easily. But actually, you know, after that it does get a bit tougher. Some of these bases, like here, they get a bit tougher to hold, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are quite easy to get. So, and then sometimes it gets to the left 6. But these middle ones are obviously a bit weirdly positioned, so... There's, that's the InNoVation on the top left-hand side as well, by the way. As you will see this probe coming over, and again, having a little bit of a scout around to see just what's going to happen. So probe coming up and trying to see a little bit of what's going on. You see the gateway dropping down. Probe getting going. And just really getting into this early few minutes of the game number 5 here on Nightshade. 2 maps away from Trap winning this series. And he's still yet to really do a different build, right? Where's the Stargate? Where's the let's be aggressive and kind of switch it up? It's it's almost like Trap's like, you know what, I'm going to do my best innovation in cosplay. And he's just going to stare at the screen blankly and just be like, same build, same build, same build, same build. Like, that's what InNoVation loves to do, just play like a robot. And, well, Trap's like really kind of mimicking here a little bit. Twilight cancel every game into a Robobay. There was one game where there was a slight difference in timing on the Forge, but I think that was just he forgot the Forge a little bit, or something happened, he couldn't afford it. And even the transitions from Trap, at the same time each game he's kind of gone in towards like the Storm upgrade, etc. The one game where it did go a bit different was a very early scout on the Robobay, and he saw InNoVation go double starport against it, so he went Disruptors. And that was actually a very smart adjustment from Trap, based on what he saw InNoVation doing. And that's one of the big things you can do with this build. And oh my gosh, it is going to be a Stargate, so we're going to change it up. As the Reaper's hopping around, it's going to get out, so we won't see the Stargate yet. But what a time to change up as Trap, getting to the 3-1 lead. Maybe, okay, so here's my new theory. Trap's now up by 2 maps, right? Maybe he's super confident with the first build, and he's not as confident with the Stargate build. I feel like I'm mixing words today. He's not as confident with the Stargate build, and so his idea is, hey, if I add on the Stargate, what I can do is put myself in a position where I go up in towards an Oracle. I can play a bit differently, and yes, I'm not as comfortable, but I have wiggle room in this, in the series now, and it's good to mix it up in a best of 9, right? So that's always a benefit to letting us Adept in as a mistake from InNoVation. Trap doesn't actually go far enough forwards with the Shade to confirm the starport though, so as he sees no tech lab on the factory, so that already tells you a little bit about what this could and could not be. Probe's going to try and give itself up to the Widowmine, doesn't go down. And Trap's going to try this Adept Shade trick for, what, the 3rd time now? The first 2 last game didn't really work out. But he's scared away by the Marines and the Reaper. So he gets out of there. Stalker firing some shots. And I'm going to be seeing the couple of units we'll just have to back away for now. But again, look, it's the same opening from Trap, so it's selling the idea that this is the same thing, when in reality there's about to be an Oracle in the main base, and InNoVation has nothing positioned in the main to deal with it. And obviously the Marines didn't ever see, or the Reaper never really saw the Stargate, so InNoVation is completely blind to what is about to happen here. He loads up all 3 Widow Mines. Oh, no way. The Oracle flies into the medevac. Like, that's just unfortunate. To keep this so well hidden until now, I mean, even now it's not exactly great, but now that Widow Mine's on the map, you can actually maybe do something with the Oracles and the Stalkers together, maybe even just fight these Marines. One of the benefits of getting these Marines low for the early build that Trap's been doing is he is just going to lose the first Oracle, though. An Oracle had a lot of energy on it, so that really is a shame. Let's see what Trap can do in terms of damage. He's going to go straight after that Mule and the rest of the SCVs. Just imagine that Oracle survived with like 1 HP. It was so close. He just had to pull it away for a second. That's a bit of lazy micro from Trap that's really going to cost him, because this could have just been... He could already be in the main base with like killing the rest of the Marines right now. The Widow Mine's over here. They're denying mining, but that's about it. Stalker's going to get the final shot there. So Widow Mines go down. Not really much done. Stalker's here going to get pushed away. Now the Cyclone's out as well, might even get a lock onto the Oracle, but I don't think he gets the kill. And the Oracle shows up, knows the Cyclone's used its lock on, so he'll go for the kill, and he'll get the kill. But it costs him the Oracle, it costs him the Stalker. I'm not sure if that's worthwhile, right? Because Oracles are very nice to have still alive for the rest of the game as well. The thing is, I think InNoVation's taking so much damage anyways, it doesn't really matter. 35 SCVs to 51 probes. I guess what killing the Cyclone does is it forces you to maybe build another as InNoVation. That or you risk it. But if you build another, you started one, so you're thinking about it. If you build another Cyclone, you put yourself in a really difficult position. Nice Widow Mine, left from earlier in the game, catches Trap off guard, gets the final Oracle, and actually there is a new Oracle in production, but that'll be up soon. So that's actually, I mean, for Trap losing Oracles, he's replacing them, so that's expensive because you want Revelations. From InNoVation's point of view, he kind of wanted the Cyclone to maybe stay safe against potentially more Oracles, decided not to go for it, so in that way InNoVation does okay, but 20 workers down. It's just one of those differences where you just aren't meant to be that far down, and it's so difficult to recover from that much worker damage. You need to do some harassment of your own, but with the setup that Trap has, Stasis Ward defensively, has a Phoenix to kind of keep them spotting what's going on. And I guess the rest of the Trap's army is pretty trashed here, right? It's like unupgraded Stalkers. So I guess it's not impossible for InNoVation to push and get something done. Stim finishing soon. He actually goes double reactor on the barracks. Just because I guess he had it, but usually you see double tech lab and marauder production. I wonder if with the marine count here, it maybe suggests, hey, I'm actually just going to kind of go for this, right? Like, to pump out that many marines, especially as the game goes on, marines become a bit worse in TVP. Marine count's good for cleanup zealots, etc. But obviously you really do want to mix in a good amount of marauders later. So let's see what InNoVation does. I'm doing a lot of theorizing here. He's going to start combat shields. If he's going to push, it's going to be as combat shields finishes. That's when he's going to have +1 stim combat. There's nothing else really worth waiting for. He's going to start +1 armor. I think that's an upgrade which is more like, hey, if the fight goes beyond the first fight and it's the second fight, I might have it for then. He's not going to wait for it though, because that's going to take so long to finish. And here we go. Marines are going to start pushing across the map. Only a couple Marauders mixed in. Tanks along with this. That's why the decision to make tanks here I think was very smart, because obviously that gives him a lot of pushing potential right now. As InNoVation does have the upgrade lead. Stalkers at least do have their blink finished. Trying to make use of that in these early stages. InNoVation gets one more Stalker. Chasing across the map, sees the Stasis Ward. That's a nice catch as well. We might be about to see if Trap really was able to do enough with all of this up until now. The one big criticism I have of Trap is, well, hold that thought, because here we go, Trap just blinks into this. Phoenix lifts up the final tank. There's still a lot of Marines, there's still no +1 attack for Trap in the game. Marines are trying to fight those Zealots and reinforcements showing up. Guardian Shield drops down as the sentry dies. I think Trap holds this off because now he's got Blink Stalkers to chase the medevacs. Last Marauder and Marine go down. Good hold by Trap. The only error I really thought Trap had shot himself in the foot was maybe making another Oracle, which isn't a bad thing because you get a lot out of an Oracle, but it's that extra gas that doesn't go into the rest of your tech already and really delays you on the unupgraded gateway units, which is kind of why I thought maybe Trap might die there. But no, good hold in the end. Blink straight in onto the tanks, and it was the right decision, right? You let those tanks siege up, you're only going to take more damage. Blink in, kill 2 of them. Phoenix lifts up the 3rd one. Beautifully done. Now Blink to the left side. Trap will take game number 5, and he goes up 4-1 in this series. And Trap is, after 5 games, truly looks like the better player. In fact, honestly, after watching game number 1 and thinking back to it, this kind of maybe should have been like a Trap clean sweep 5-0. Let's not talk about it again, because he was doing well in game 1. I think he really just messed up a defense, which shouldn't have been that difficult. So here we are, Trap up 4-1. Maybe it should be 5-0, but hey, he's got so much breathing room now. InNoVation has to win every single map that remains in this series, 4 in a row. It just looks so tough when Trap is playing this well. Up 4-1, our blue Protoss player in the top left of Simulacrum is Trap. Taking on InNoVation, our red Terran bottom right, coming off our shortest game of the series. In fact, the first 4 games were all 12 to 13 minutes long, maybe a little bit longer. Which is kind of... It's an interesting length of time, right? You know, I'd say like a lot of games that are considered quick is like 7 to 9 minutes. 10 to 12 is like that sort of level where it's like, okay, well this wasn't quick, but it also wasn't long. It's like real middling length. 20 plus minutes being long, 15 plus being like, okay, you guys had a good macro game between each other. And what's, I think, so interesting and so fun about these games, we've never really seen either player maxed out or anything. And that's not, to go in as a criticism or anything either. It's just as neither player's really been maxed out, we also haven't really seen either player, it's been very scrappy, a lot of minimized kind of unit fights. And it's just been kind of a different level of StarCraft to watch, because these guys are fighting a lot. They are fighting going into the mid-game, and they're keeping up the fights and aggression as well. And it has made it very fun to watch, rather than watching it get deathbally, rather than watching it be like, oh my god, 12,000 Liberators, how on earth is Trap going to deal with that? And then it's like, oh, he just built some Tempest. I mean, those games are very cool to watch as well, but I do feel like we've just don't have those games anymore, which are like back and forth, like scrappy, especially in TvP. I remember it was the Marine King parting days, and Marine King just had this ability with his units, his bio units, to just trade and trade and trade, and you would see these ridiculous TvPs in like Tal'Darim Altar, where it was like, Marine King would be like microing 2 Marines and a Marauder against a Colossus, and he would literally be rallying every single unit across the map, and the Protoss would be warping in and fighting with every unit he could to try and hold off, and it would be so sick, and like it would just be so intense for like minutes at a time. And obviously these games aren't quite like that, but the fact that kind of smaller fights, and they are kind of back and forth, and these guys are retreating and stuff, it has that sort of similar feel to it, if you get me. I'm enjoying it. It's been a fun series, even though you guys know I'm a big InNoVation fanboy, right? It's no secret. I cast him pretty much every time I get the chance to on the channel. He also brings in a lot of views, so I mean, there's that there's that argument to it as well. But I mean, I hate to see InNoVation 1-4 down, but hey, it has been fun games. It's not been like, yeah, Trap's maybe looked very good at times, but it's been entertainingly very good, right? It's not just been like, oh, Trap made an army and he attacked and he won. It's been InNoVation. They've really clashed horns, and Trap keeps coming out on top, so really great series so far. Obviously, this game, well, Trap did win with the Stargate, but he's still going to go back to the tried and tested Twilight Council. Ugh, of course he is. Why change what isn't broken, huh? That apparently seems to be the answer over here. Or well, I said the answer to the question over here. Don't know what exactly the answer to that is, mind you. As you see, just continuing up, Robo Facility dropping down in the main base as well. Then coming in, starport about to finish. And again, a couple Marines, Cyclone on the way out. Depth's trying to get up the high ground, but that's a depot raised to block it, so. Bunker at the front this time as well from InNoVation. That's something we haven't seen from him. He's been very committed to actually just going in towards the, just defending with Marines, and this Adept Stalker pressure has done a lot. As he sees the bunker, Trap doesn't bother bringing the Stalkers across the map. He knows there's nothing to be gained there. And maybe this is also just an adaptation of InNoVation, saying, well, I'm not going for a Rotomine this game. So that was my adaptation to stop you doing what you were doing. So now my adaptation is just add a bunker. As the Cyclone comes in, picks off that Adept, that's a nice catch. As a Cyclone straight into the Raven, so InNoVation getting a pretty quick Raven here. This does mean, we talked about this one of the earlier games where when Cloak Banshee, it's like, well, Raven this early takes away a lot of your chances to be aggressive, and it really does. So really interested to see what comes of that. What it looks like is going to happen here, we're going to have these two barracks probably switch into the Tech Labs, and probably just going to go see, maybe the factory goes to a Tech Lab, maybe it goes Reactor and build Widow Mines. It's going to be pretty quick into bio production here as the Raven pops out, and this typically means with the Raven especially, you're looking at some kind of a bio push. One is going to be Widow Mines. A bio push where obviously you have the Raven to interfere into Matrix stand and really power up that push, taking away some of the very important units of your opponent. No Robo Bay from Trap. So without the Robo Bay, we're maybe looking at a completely different style of play from him off the Twilight Council. He's got Blink, Forge about to finish. Let's see if he goes Armor. Because he's going to get charged a bit faster here than usual because he's not invested into Colossus. Let's see if he goes Armor, because when you're going to be relying on charge lots a lot earlier, Armor upgrades generally a lot better. Stalker's Blink into the main as the Raven from the Cyclone combo was able to get rid of the Observer. Obviously, not before the Cyclone went down. At least he keeps the Raven alive, because obviously the Raven is a big part of this here. Still waiting to see. Yeah, it's going to be Armor upgrade. And that is just because he's going to play a very gateway-heavy style. And when you play the Colossus style, you're really relying, or your army is really based around being good at attacking, right? Stalkers dishing out damage, and you got the Colossus dishing out damage, so the attack upgrade really benefits you. This mass gateway style, and you go into an Immortal or two as a follow-up, is really more about, oh, I have so many Zealots I can warp in, you're never going to break through me. And so the armor works much better in that scenario, and so, yeah, just a different style from Trap, which is really cool to see, right? We're really seeing these builds develop a bit more as the series goes on. As InNoVation will fight these Stalkers off, push those back out into the center of the map. Stimpak about a complete combat shield is going to be done soon, +1 attack upgrade on the engineering bay. As we do see the Observer into the main base, having a look around. Stalkers blinking up here, trying to see what they can get up to. There's a few extra gateways going to be finishing up in the main base as well. This Fire Force just sims straight into those Stalkers. Tell you what, Trap not having lost a Stalker yet is impressive, because they are taking a beating when they keep coming into these bases. But he has a good game sense of when he should pull them away, of when he should be backing off. And obviously, as long as you're not actually losing the Stalkers, I think it's perfectly fine to be like, okay, you know, get in here, deal some damage, you know, and then get away. So just good play from Trap to know what he can get away with and what he can't. He's going to go into the Prism now, and we have seen the Prism causing some issues for InNoVation in previous maps. Let's see what he does. InNoVation with that typical rallying out to his supply depot. So he does have a few reinforcements here, otherwise especially could be important, will not get off onto the Warp Prism, and actually a lot of friendly fire damage. And that will be a few more Zealots. At the same time, push across the map, Auto Turrets are going to come down to help, and actually Zealots run into the Auto Turrets a little bit there. InNoVation's going to come straight through. I mean, this pylon will go down, so you can't warp in off the third base anymore. We'll have to warp in from the natural. Well, Widowmines are still connecting quite nicely. Probes are going to pull into this fight, and quite a few of them going down. The Bio Army doing well, and now there's only, what, a couple of Immortals left over? Zealots reinforcing this will be the kind of front line to defend. You see the Bio. It's going to continue to push in, doesn't quite reach the Immortal. 14 probes going down. Only 5 SCVs killed by the Warp Prism play, so really well defended by InNoVation back at home while the rest of this happens. Because he really did take a good fight to you. Look at resources lost, and you can just, you can tell by looking, but 1,300 resources lost in favor of InNoVation. It's a much better trade for him. Important notes, he took down the Immortal over here, he killed a lot of the probes on the third base, so Trap doesn't even have an eco advantage anymore to rebuild from this. You know, if Trap was up at 55 workers still, maybe, you know, this is, you know, he's rebuilt and he's looking a bit better. But absolutely not right now, having lost those probes. Because now this Prism trying to come into the main base again. Widowmines are going to try and cut it off, Burrow. They're just a little bit too late. And there's Marauders here to fight the Zealots if needed. But obviously no anti yet to actually force the Prism to drop them. So InNoVation, at the very least, scares it away, right? You know, Prism will still not do much more. Although you could also say that at the same time, InNoVation is, you know, being kept at home because of the Prism. Gotta be a bit careful about that. One Viking. That Prism's gonna recall, and it'll get out just before the final Viking shot. Storm upgrade on the way out, Corona boosting there, +1 attack, Corona boosting on the Forge. We still see the rest of this Bio Army coming out into the center as well. Zealot there gets picked off pretty quickly. And again, still pushing forwards here. Stalker's pulling back up in towards the high ground. Storm isn't ready yet, and InNoVation can probably tell that a little bit, right? You've probably got a bit of an inkling, like, how do you have Storm already? Force fields. I don't think you force field there either if you've got Storm. I think you let the army run up the ramp, and then you Storm it instead of force fielding. So I think InNoVation kind of knows that. He's going to make a play into the main. He's going to have the Raven again, keeping this alive throughout this game. Really nice, because again, look at this. Messes up the Zealots a little bit. Keeps them in Widowmine range that bit longer. Other units fighting the auto turrets. InNoVation's going to pick off an Immortal as it spawns. The Robot Facility should die. He's trying to push in the third base at the same time, but it's actually, the reason he's doing so well in the main is because he actually left trapped so many units over on the third base. Zealots are actually trapped behind other warping in Zealots over here, so Trap is just having a disaster in the main. Storm or 2 dropping down now. This Raven is still alive, albeit very low on HP, as InNoVation kites away in the main base, pulling back from those Zealots. Another pylon will be felled, and InNoVation is not giving up this series just yet, is he? Needs 4 maps in a row, but he's going to try for them. The Zealots going down, Stalker's still blinking forwards, a couple more medevacs. Maybe in some trouble, blinking away. We'll get underneath, we'll kill that medevac off. 2-2 still coming up here as we'll see the Bio Army, the Ghosts, the Widow Mines, all of this gathering up together as we do see the Prism coming over, and it's going to drop down the few Zealots to try and hit this command center. It's just being a little bit annoying here again. 2 SCV will in, and SCV will go down. So 4th base probably denied, but, well, I mean, it's a small win for Trap. He's going to need a lot of those small victories to get himself back in this one. He's going to be behind on upgrades as well, so InNoVation is something else you can look at and be like, okay, kind of happy with that. Mine blows up the last 2 Zealots there. There's one more still on the rebuilding 4th base, which will get dragged maybe. Nope, doesn't quite get into towards the Widow Mine range there. Nice EMP. It's going to be a fast kill on the Prism. That brings the Zealots a little bit lower. So finally, this 4th base will continue to build. InNoVation just taking a moment or two to regroup back at home. Probably would be nice to repair that Raven. It is moving to the mineralize, so there we go. We'll get that Raven repaired. Obviously, getting the Raven repaired and back nice and healthy, well, that's only going to add to your possibilities of being aggressive again, right? It's so amazing to see this Raven survive multiple fights, because it really is the Order turrets. They really do mess with the Zealot AI. They really do help a lot. And obviously, usually the issue with the Raven is it's so easy to lose. But if you do keep it multiple fights, I mean, it finds so much value. It's really quite ridiculous. Storms drop down. He's taking damage. Bio still pressing forwards. Nice EMP on the High Templar. Templar taking a lot of damage there. Is going to be seeing Zealot Zarkon go down already. The rest of these Zealots being chased as well. Pulling up that base. Really nice storm on top of this army again. So many of these Marines and Warriors getting picked away at. Stalkers blink back once more. I'm going to see 2 more Destructors on the way out. Colossus production starting as well. More Widow Mines from InNoVation is clashes here. The EMP is obviously helping a lot. I mean, the EMPs are really good. Storms have slowed him down a bit, but at the end of the day, should just be able to break through eventually. I mean, he might have to pull back here, and of course, it's a bit too much. But he's also the player about to finish a 4th command center versus Trap, who is, well, probably thankful that he can keep the 3rd base alive. Never mind thinking about a 4th base. But the Colossus switch from Trap really might catch InNoVation a little bit off guard. That might be Trap's way to stay in it even longer again, right? Raven has no energy, so interfering into Matrix and those Colossus are, it's kind of out of the question for the moment. Bio up to the top. Stalkers from Trap pressing forwards. Orders here gonna fire. Stalkers taking some hits. Zealots will take some damage as well, so some shots right there. The rest of this Bio army gonna come staring forwards. Archon maybe alright to survive for the moment. Again, 2 more Colossus on the way out here, and just gonna be seeing Trap. Still moving around this top side. The Bio coming all the way back along. Trap's holding on. And again, I mean, obviously the Colossus do come in, and InNoVation probably has to take it slow because of those. Gives Trap a chance to get the 4th base up and running. Maybe, just maybe, there's an opportunity here as InNoVation is back around into the center. Getting a couple shots off, and he'll be taken down. Zealot's going to be picked away as well, and Ghosts also firing. Nice EMP hits the Colossus, hits the Archon. InNoVation all the way around the top side, and well, another EMP on the High Templar here, so those are going to get picked apart. InNoVation just goes stimming in, more EMPs. I mean, the Colossus will do a lot of damage though. I mean, the Colossus are still alive, but look at the Colossus, they're killing everything. The Colossus are actually going to hold this off. And Trap will push InNoVation back, although again, it's a matter of how many times can Trap do that. InNoVation up on army, up on supply, up in workers. You know, if you look at the mining here, you can see InNoVation is just taking more and more of a lead as time passes by. Still trading that a little bit better overall. Trap firing with the Colossus again. Vikings coming through, getting a few shots off. Stalkers coming into this also. And we're seeing, oh, now InNoVation just pulls the SCVs. Trap's very desperate to try and end the game off the back of a good fight. But obviously InNoVation's like, well, you know, defensively I'm never going to lose this, right? So he should be able to push this back once more, and I think you can kind of just see it, that InNoVation does just about have the numbers here to pull this off and to maybe get, you know, a map back on the scoreboard, which is kind of what he's needed. You know, you're down 1-4, it's the last possible chance. Great game to do it in, though. Really controlled it throughout. Showed us some great engagements and a couple of messy ones as well. These storms have definitely been a little bit unfortunate at times. But eventually here, he will break on through. And InNoVation, is this the start of a comeback in the series? Well, maybe, just maybe. I guess we'll find out going into game number 6. 7. Whichever one it is. It's game number 7. 7 comes next. 4-2. 6 maps played. And game number 7 of this best of 9. Still obviously on match point in the bottom left. Our blue Protoss player here is Trap. Taking on the red Terran player in the top right. It is InNoVation. Alright, so game number 7, InNoVation. To try once again to stay in this. It's been pretty tough so far, honestly. It's been pretty tough so far, honestly, as we do see this. Racks dropping down. Gateway on the way up here in the main base as well. So getting that ready to go. This probe coming over is going to start nibbling the SCV and, well, Trap. Coming off a bit of a rough game. I mean, it really was just that. I can't say rough anymore. Bit of a rough game. It really was just that kind of fight on the third base / drop towards the main. It did a lot. InNoVation found a lot of good fights in a row. But even still, Trap made a real battle out of it until the very end. And that really is what's so crazy a lot of the time. Think about Trap. It's not that Protoss is OP. I know you guys would love to yell at me, and I'm sure you guys are going to yell at me. That Protoss is OP because, hey, Trap's currently 4-2 up against InNoVation, so, you know, what other explanation could there be? But it's not that, it's just that Trap's playing a very good game and InNoVation is being sloppy, allowing Trap to kind of fight his way back in time and time again. Factory coming up in the main, as we do see the Reaper down to the bottom left. That's going to run up and go straight into this mineralizer. You see a couple of probes being popped around. So the probes absolutely taking some damage here. Moving now back through the bottom side, so moving back through the bottom, you're going to see this Marine going to go after this probe and should be able to pick up that kill, so probe will fall. Stargate on the way up from Trap over here, and just going to be seeing the command center from InNoVation on the natural north. So we are into a Stargate for the second time in this series. So Trap has absolutely massively preferred the Twilight Council builds. And in fairness, has changed up the Twilight Council builds a couple of times. You know, even within it being a Twilight Council, especially that last game, he played that very different style of, instead of going straight to Colossus, he played the gateway heavier style, right? So that was, you know, obviously, I don't think Trap will be doing that again because InNoVation probably the easiest game he won so far, and the most convincing game he won so far of the two he had. So back to the Stargate, and he's going to go Oracle, but look at InNoVation, right? I mean, he's already going in towards a Cyclone, so a Cyclone defensively here should be very good for him, right? You get a Cyclone up, and it's going to be so much harder right away for that Oracle to do much. Starport to a Tech Lab, I think that's just a Raven. And then in towards a Barracks onto the Tech Lab as well. It's just where the Barracks is placed. Because the Barracks is basically queued up to go to that Tech Lab next, right? If it was going to be anywhere else, if it was just going to be Cloak Banshees, you would have been on this Tech Lab for way longer as the Starport. Barracks would have built up here, or you just wouldn't be building the Barracks right now. You just wouldn't be able to afford it, so... just building placement for InNoVation, telling us a little bit ahead of time what he is likely to go for. As the Adept of Trap moves up into the main, and Cyclone gets a lock on to be able to pick away. Adept, which gets one SCV. Good scout though. Right, I mean, you're talking about Adept, which gets straight in there and boom. Starport and a tech lab, no cloak. You know, you see the two racks. I mean, it's not in the vision because they're up in the sky, but you see everything. So you know exactly the timings of stim, combat shields. I mean, it's trap. You're rubbing your hands together and saying, okay, yes, please. Great opening for me as we do see two oracles together. That's a dead Cyclone. And well, now the oracles will go to the mineral line, and obviously the anti-air is limited to those marines, which are out of position. So double oracle catches InNoVation a bit off guard. Raven uses its energy already to drop an order turret. Biggest problem here is the fact that obviously the oracles just get turned away, so they can come back later. As the Stalkers at the front make their opportunity to pick up a couple of SCVs and trading against marines as well. No bunker here yet. InNoVation is paying the price for skipping a couple of bits and pieces in this build, as now there's 3 oracles up, and Trap is going to be back into this main. So here we go, Trap leading the charge into the main base. Marines dealing some damage. I think the 3 oracles together have to be careful. I don't think there's enough here just to really jump on this. Okay, he's going to go for it. Maybe I'm wrong. Really good micro on that oracle at the top. It's not enough to really break through, but obviously he trades very well. And InNoVation is like, what? Yeah, this oracle surviving is actually incredible. That was amazing micro, because he brought it back in multiple times to get more shots off. Really nicely done. But now the Phoenix production starts up and charges on the way. +1 armor as well is going to be the choice from Trap, because he is going to be prioritizing Zealots on the ground initially. Obviously, it's too late to kind of realistically go Blink before charge. You need a sturdy ground army to deal with the Terran attack, right? You're expecting a stim combat +1 push very soon. So, the Zealots and the charge lots, it makes the most sense. A couple of Phoenix coming up as well from Trap. We might see those being used as a way to transition into Colossus a bit more safely. Might just be he's a little bit afraid of the potential push forwards here, and maybe wants to be able to hunt down medevacts and chase them down, stop drop play. He is going to go straight into Templar Archives. So it's not just Phoenix to transition into Colossus at all. He's just going to get into the Archons and potentially even straight to Storm as well. Depends on how he's feeling about this, as we do see InNoVation. I mean, damage taken is the sort of scenario where InNoVation sometimes just goes all out and just says, yep, you know what, let's just try and kill you right here and now. And see what he can perhaps get done. So Oracle's around over to this left-hand side. Bio army through the center. Zell's going to go charging in. Phoenix on the right side. Anti-armor missile hits a bit of everything there. I don't even know what to make of that. I think it just mostly hit the Protoss army, but Protoss army is also just going to run on InNova well, and InNoVation's going to lose everything. Just like that. InNoVation is cleaned up, and now, well, Trap probably just keeps pushing forwards as InNoVation says something, which I don't imagine is too happy, as he's going to lose that build in 3rd CC. We are going to have GG called, and Trap will take that game number 9. Game number... I can't count games. Best of 9s are too long, guys. Game number 7 in the best of 9 and wins out the series. Well, thank you so much for watching today, guys. I think this was a really good video, obviously. Quite a long one. But hey, really good game, so absolutely worth checking it out. Yeah, obviously, I think I've already decided this isn't going to be split in 2. Because I just didn't intro another game as though it was going to be. I'm rambling. You guys don't want to hear me rambling. I just want to say thank you again. Hit that like button if you didn't already. Do consider subscribing. We are trying to beat PvTer to 10,000 YouTube subscriptions. So if you can do that and help me out, help me win, I'll get some very special YouTube-only show matches for you guys. How about that as a promise? We'll do something like that. We'll do something awesome, I promise you. I'll have a think about that and let you know more in the next YouTube exclusive. Until then, keep watching the content. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time on WardiTV.